So welcome to another edition of Sacred Segments, and I'm pleased to have Karina with us, who's going to be our guest tonight for this special Eco edition. And lovely to see all of your faces, people that have joined us before and new people. I'm going to start with a question. I'm just going to check, Slivan, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If you can speak and just check your microphone, that would be great. If not, then we'll come back to you, or type if you can. I'll just give you a moment to respond. Okay, not to worry, but if you do have the opportunity to respond in the chat, then please do. So I'm going to start with a question, and that question is, what can you do on a day-to-day basis to help the natural world and environment and oceans? And I think I will start by answering that question, just to say that one thing that I'm trying to do, I don't like the word try, one thing that I am doing is every time I go to the supermarket, I take bags with me already, rather than, buying another one. And I've really forced myself to get into that habit and to only keep like a maximum of like 5 carrier bags at any one time. Otherwise, I recycle them. I mean, there are other choices that I make, regarding packaging and clothing and products and stuff like that. But those are the things that I'm changing my awareness of, and the environmental impact and the responsibility that I feel that we all have to some degree, on the planet. Little baby steps. But Michael, what would you say to that question? What can you do on a day-to-day basis to help the natural world, environment, and oceans?
Right. Well, one of the big things that I've started this year actually is that I'm creating what's called an ARC, which is ARC stands for an act of restorative kindness, and it's, if you look it up on the net, it's where you leave 50% of your garden to rewild itself.
Oh, I love that.
Very good. That's what I'm doing, and it's great. I sort of started it last year because my mower broke down, but and it worked really well. And I have quite a big garden, so there was an area that I was able to leave, and so that's one thing I'm doing.
That's wonderful.
Other than that, I suppose my forest therapy, nature therapy work helps. And what else? I use an electricity supplier that only uses or supplies renewable electricity.
Wow.
So there we go.
What are they called, out of interest?
SSE Airtricity.
Okay.
In Ireland.
Okay. Amazing. That's incredible. I love the idea of leaving space in your garden to be wild. And I remember hearing or reading many years ago that the fairy realm love that, to just have a little area, or for the garden not to be too manicured, And that reminded me.
On that note, actually, last year, it hasn't produced one this year, but last year there was in the area that I let grow wild, there was a circle of mushrooms that grew, a perfect circle, and to be honest,
it's rare, isn't it, and magical.
Absolutely, it really was.
Yeah, I used to live in this beautiful apartment that was the ballroom in a mansion that they turned into a flat, and it was very special. And I was very, very conscious of the fairy realm during that time, and I was reading a lot about them. And I had exactly the same experience as what you just described of a circle of mushrooms. And I got so excited by it.
Yes.
It was very special. So, yeah. And, I'm sure Karina would agree, our Mer Fairy, that, you can consciously work with that realm, with those energy beings, and they can really help you a lot if you have reverence and respect for them. And you can leave little gifts in trees of a sweet, like a little boiled sweet or a little shiny bit of paper. You can call on them for help with financial matters. There's all kinds of work you can do with the energetic, fairy realm, or the divas, as they're sometimes termed in the I think it's the Indian philosophy, but I'm not sure. Anna, you probably know a little bit more about this than I do. What would you answer to that question about the environmental stuff that you could do on a personal level?
Well, what I do, I mean, what I've always done, I don't drive.
Right.
I've never had a car in my life.
Yeah.
I've always either taken public transportation or walked, and I feel I know that that's had an impact, and I've always been like trying to use eco products in the house, and
yeah,
that kind of thing. But the other thing I do, which is on a more, I don't know, I guess spiritual, well, it is a more spiritual level, excuse me, is with water. I like, when I remember, I don't always remember, but to be honest, I like to bless the water and send healing to the water, because it's life, it's everything. So I like to, before I drink something, I like to bless it. I put, crystals in my water. I put a shungite. So the water likes it, the crystals like it, they're all happy. Or put water in the sun, so I just feel like the water and honoring it is important.
That's beautiful. I read a beautiful a little pamphlet called The Practices of Aetherius, and they talk about solarizing water in a blue glass bottle. If you leave it in the sun, it charges it and gives it special energy. But I love the idea of also putting shungite and crystals in it. And of course, as we know,
or symbols, you could put symbols on it too.
Positive words like love, or all of those things, because we are water, right? And the planet is water. I'm sure that Karina's going to touch on this when I feel like there's so much in this. I'm excited to be talking about it and excited to be sharing this time with you all. Thanks, Anna, for those beautiful reminders. Maria, would you care to share your thoughts on this?
Yes, I have been a vegan for the past 5.5 years. I don't know whether it helps at all.
I'm sure it does.
In addition to bringing most of the time the same bag to the store and making sure that the garbage ends up in the right bin, I have bought this sewing machine on sale, which was really weird. I thought I would buy a sewing machine if I found it on sale. And maybe 3 weeks later, I found a sewing machine on sale and I bought it, and I have been redesigning my clothes.
Wow.
So that they live a little longer. So I like particular style, and if I haven't been able to find it, but then I was able just to cut a few dresses and make a skirt, for example. So these are the things that I've been doing for the past.
Eco-conscious clothing. I love that. I once met this lady on the way to Los Angeles, and we became friends. And she said to me, there's enough clothes in the world that we never ever need to make another new thing ever again, because there is just so many clothes. I know that we love our new things, but it's actually quite an amazing thought. I too am vegan. and have been for 4 years. I celebrate your decision. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. That's lovely. And I love that about the clothes. Very powerful. Slivan, I hope I'm saying your name right. Are you able to type or share? I'll give you just a few seconds to respond if you can. No obligation. Perhaps you have some audio or camera issues. Not to worry, but I'm going to put the same question to Greta.
Yes, so I do a lot of different things, and I don't know if you guys know, but I used to work as an environmental manager for a big Norwegian airport and the Norwegian military. So I've been working full time with, on a larger scale, figuring out what can we do to reduce the impact on the environment. And a lot of it is what you buy.
Yeah.
The products you buy, the quality they are, how long they're going to last. That's a big thing. So I make sure that if I buy something, it's high quality and I want it to last for a long time and that I really want it. I love secondhand shopping as well, especially here in Florida, because they have some really nice shops with good quality stuff. In Norway, usually secondhand shops are like, you go in there and it smells like mold and you just want to go out. I don't like that. I like fresher smells. But one thing that's really important for me is food. So one thing is
what was that?
Food.
Oh, yes.
Food. And I'm going to talk about that later, but eating mostly plant-based. And honestly, the only reason I'm not eating completely plant-based is because I have some food intolerances.
Sure.
That limit me a little bit. And if I removed meat completely, I have friends who are vegan, and if they go to a restaurant and their food is contaminated by meat, they get really sick.
Oh, yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
everyone's different.
I don't want to be in that situation. So I make sure I eat a little bit of meat every once in a while just to keep my system used to it, but I'm sure it's good quality. And I also really, really love going to really, really good restaurants, like Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a little bit of that meat that they serve there because you know it's going to be good. But I also make sure whenever I can, I buy organic and I minimize food waste. Like throwing away food hurts my heart, and I just love leftovers because you have a quick little dinner in no time. You just heat it. So that's another big thing. Other than that, like I've looked into how waste is handled, and honestly, your impact you can do by reducing plastic, all of that really depends on how waste is handled in your area.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Norway is a country where we're masters at recycling. We will put everything in their own little bins, and then and the West, Europe, then we'll put it all into the plastic into containers, ship them to China. That's stopped recently. Then this Chinese family business gets this container of plastic, picks out a couple things that they can sell, and pours the rest of it in the ocean. So that's what's been going on. That's why there's so much plastic in the ocean, because we've been shipping our garbage to Asia, and then they just threw it in the ocean. So
it's such a tragedy.
Supposed to have stopped now. So instead, what we do with the other waste in Norway is we burn it. You're not allowed to put anything on a landfill in Norway. So we burn it for heat energy.
Oh, I see.
Burn it, it heats up water, the water goes into houses and they're heated.
Okay.
As far as I know, I haven't seen a better way. It's not perfect.
Right.
But instead of shipping your plastic to Asia and then throw it in the ocean, burn it.
Well, I've seen these machines that can turn it back into oil that can power things, right?
Some of it.
Yeah.
Plastic is really complex.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure it is. I'm sure it
I
is.
I don't feel bad about buying something in plastic because I know that me as a consumer, I don't have much of a choice if I want that thing. But
Right.
what you can do is urge your decision makers to make informed decisions about how to handle your waste. That was a long answer to a short question.
Well, thank you for sharing. It was very interesting to know, the practices of, particular countries. Thanks, Greta, for sharing. Karina, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh, well, it's a huge subject. It's been part of my life, really, especially the last kind of 30 years as I got more involved in producing eco products and working with people who work in ocean conservation and supporting ocean conservation for most of my life. But what I realized as well is that sometimes it's quite overwhelming for people.
Yeah.
And they feel like, oh, please, Karina, don't go into your preaching mode or whatever. So I don't. And
that's important. Yeah.
What you just do is action speaks louder than words.
So true.
Bring your friends to plastic-free shops.
Right.
Introduce them to sort of fashion that they don't even have to talk about, but they wear. Like what I'm wearing, it actually has images on it of cotton buds, but you wouldn't see it until you kind of get closer to me. And it's made out of plant cellulose.
Oh, that's
great. I think one of the ways of getting through it is kind of just doing it very subliminally. And just action speaks louder than words. Yes. And follow your own inner compass. Follow your own guidance. Just do your own research. Do your own, don't overwhelm yourself. Beautiful. If you watch Seaspiracy, make sure you watch The Octopus Teacher straight after.
Oh, I love that movie.
Always balance your information.
Yeah.
Because it's very overwhelming when you get into environmentalism. It can make you very activist and very warrior-like. So you have to be like, okay, let's just take a step back. Don't give out to your friend if she buys a plastic bottle of water. So it's kind of just taking one step at a time. Like for the first time in my life, I'm able to compost my food waste. I couldn't do that in the borough I was in before living in London. They didn't do that there. So Greta is so right. It's very much to do with your local community. So get involved in your local community, find out what they're doing, just even go along to meetings every now and again. You don't have to become an activist or anything, but just find out what's going on locally. That's the best thing.
I grew up in a restaurant which had obviously a lot of leftovers.
Yeah.
And I remember in the kitchen, it was my grandfather's restaurant. I remember he used to have this bucket that all of the leftover food went into, and then the local farmer would come and collect it and give it to the pigs. So I remember.
There you go. They were already doing it.
Yeah, in the 70s, which is quite unusual.
And it's become industrialized now. But yeah, that's what a lot of people have been doing for centuries.
Yeah, it's great. Now, I know that you, Karina, wear a lot of different hats. So just, as I sort of hand over your segment to you, just tell us a little bit about, you and your work. And I know you do some amazing things.
Well, obviously, I think most people on this group kind of know me by now, but Karina Cohen is my full name. And obviously I'm from Ireland. I trained in beauty therapy and aromatherapy about 30 years ago in Dublin. And I worked on cruise ships. And that's actually when I started to really learn about what was going on in our oceans. It was quite a shock to me. And I started learning about spirituality in those days as well. And then over those years, I kind of amalgamated a lot of my knowledge of beauty therapy, aromatherapy, spirituality, and conservation work. And that's when I created Mer Karina. And Mer Karina is a synonym for the mermaid stroke Karina. And so that's when I've been developing kind of eco products with different artists from around the world for the last kind of 20 years, especially. And the last 10 years, then I started getting involved in ocean conservation projects. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. And I sort of create facials as well out of using eco products and crystals and healing. So it's kind of, I've turned into more sort of vibrational beauty therapy.
That's
and
amazing.
more like emotional beauty therapy for people as well. And then kind of a little, it's almost like life coaching in some ways, that it's kind of evolved naturally.
When I first met Karina, she was working and living in Marble Arch, and she had a practice there where she did massage therapy, and I would, you know, send, you know, lots of people that I knew, oh, you must go and see Karina.
Yeah,
it's not
like
just
my
massage,
PRA.
it's healing. It's, you know, she works on your energy body, and, you know, she uses seashells, and she introduces all of these ocean elements, and she plays ocean music, and, you know, and I know that you sing and you write. And tell us about your book that you've written.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to show them a quick video if we have time for that.
Yes, yes.
That'd be great, because that kind of gives them a visual of the production side and the kind of the synopsis of the story, because it's quite a complex story. It's because it's harnessing eco consciousness. So
right.
It's done through lots of different characters that have human characteristics and other world characteristics.
So I'm going to try and share my screen. And
oh, okay, goody.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
He tried to teach me this the other day, folks, and
I haven't done much of
it.
So I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna create.
Oh, great. Yeah, because this would give an insight into it. It's a kind of an epic fairy tale, basically, and so what I'm creating over the last couple of years is synopsis of it and breaking it down.
Tell me what to type in, Karina. What do I type in?
SylviesWish.com. Okay,
Sylvie's.
And it should come up straight away. So on the website as well is like a 28-page introduction, which gives you a synopsis of it. The book has gone into libraries and things like that. So it's more like an education feed.
Now, can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, right. I'm going to play the video now.
Thank you. Enjoy, everyone. We need the sound. The sound.
Sylvie's wish came about as my way.
Do you have the sound?
To let our young heroine, Sylvie, to transform into a mermaid and a fairy, along with many other mythological beings and nature spirits, to repair our disconnection from the nature world. I feel when you're Irish, it tends to give you a right to talk about folklore and tales. As a free-spirited child, I was always allowed to express my vivid imagination. I look back on my mom with so much love, and I'm so grateful that she would listen to all my mad stories of fairies and nature spirits as we'd jump into the car and head off to the flaggy shore. Sylvie transforms into a mermaid to embark upon a quest to awaken humanity. She's learning all about the destruction of the planet and our true life. Mer Sylvie becomes upset as she goes to choral school and she meets John Dory. He's warning that the humans, well, they may pollute the water so badly with chemicals and plastic that no fish or any animal will survive. So when Mer Sylvie hears this, she starts to cry. But John Dory says, don't cry, find solutions, as this is a lesson for humanity. So the question is, will she ever return to the human world?
I met Karina earlier this year, and when we were discussing her first book, we looked at subject matter and we looked at different papers, and we came across a paper called Shearog Carset, which is a seaweed paper. In the early 90s, the canals around Venice were being plagued by duckweed, algae bloom that happened once or twice a year. The Italian government were looking for solutions for this. So they approached Favini, this Italian papermaking company, who said they will sift the algae and they would in turn make it into flour and mill that into paper, which is what they did, and they called it, branded it as Shearog Carset. the seaweed paper in Karina's book isn't the only kind of environmentally responsible treatment or process. So Calvert's, we also use almost exclusively vegetable oil-based ink. Pigment is suspended in a soy or linseed-based oil rather than a mineral-based oil. And when it's recycled, it won't sit and leach into the soil, and it's coming from a finite source rather than petroleum.
But whatever you decide to do in your life, I want you to enjoy your journey. And just do your bit every week. Just try and bring home a little less plastic in your workplace, in your home. Just try and think of how you can make the earth a safer and a happier place to be, free from pollution. Love to you.
Thank you, Alexis.
That's beautiful. So that's sylvieswish.com.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karina.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing it.
And hopefully you could all hear that. Yeah, you got the audio there. Great, great. Well, you know, I've known Karina for quite a few years, and I've seen some of the journey that she's been on with writing this book. But you're going to share some very short stories from the book, right? And you've got some questions that you can share, which I'm excited about. So over to you, Karina.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of moving it in a new direction. So what I've done is I've actually created a whole set of little images, little illustrations. And in each of those, they have a story card. And it's all produced on seaweed paper. I don't know whether you can kind of see that there. So it's in conjunction with the Marine Foundation as well. So instead of like, yeah, that's it, yeah, bless you. So they're made on seaweed paper, and then they are covered in a biodegradable cello bag. So that's how they appear to the client when they buy them. And then I will read out to you some of the story cards. So you've got a choice. We're going to go for like about 5 of them. We'll see how kind of time goes. And in that story, you just immerse yourself in the little miniature story. This is like imagine like you're a child again, and that you're kind of getting ready for bed, or that you're getting ready for a little snooze. All right, and that you're going to go into that kind of special place. And what I would invite you to do at the end of each card is just to write down the question I give you. And that's like giving you homework. So this is your mermaid kind of giving you a little bit of homework to do for your mind, for your soul, for your well-being. Okay? So once you feel that you've got ready, you've got your pen and paper beside you, just setting the scene. I'm going to introduce you to Sylvie. Here is Sylvie cycling to Fisherman Ted's hut by the sea. Ted was an old man who lived near the seashore. He believed in the little people and the fish people of the sea. He had told Sylvie many old ocean tales, stories of fishermen in centuries gone by, who had witnessed these unusual ocean beings. Sylvie just loved to listen to Fisherman Ted's mystical tales of the huge green ancient mermaid of infinity. It was said that this mysterious mermaid held the special, unique pearls of wisdom hidden in her secret cave home deep in the depths of the ocean. So my question for you to either write down or listen, what pearls of wisdom have you learned about yourself in your life? What pearls of wisdom have you learned about yourself in your life? So you can just write about 3 of them for yourself, and they will be your, like, setting you up for dream time. What pearls of wisdom have you learned about yourself in your life? Back to story time. Mer Sylvie transforms into Fair Sylvie. The skies opened, and a golden ray of sunlight came through the skies and the clouds to surround the solitary mermaid. Sylvie realized to herself she was about to change form. She closed her eyes, praying to her angels, asking them, "Is it now that I become a fairy?" And a beautiful pair of glowing golden pink hue wings were magically bestowed upon Sylvie's back. She was transformed into a mystical fairy. She had become considerably smaller than when she was a mermaid. Her new name to be known in fairyland was to be Fair Sylvie. She looked at herself in the water reflection in sheer delight, in a pretty dress, her hair flowing with furls and curls, her ears a lot pointier. Lo and behold, she was now a fairy. So my question for you, what would you like to transform in your life? Or better still, what do you want to become in your life? So the question from Fair Sylvie is, what would you like to transform in your life? Or better still, what do you want to become in your life? So again, I want you to really relax with these questions. This is not like an interview. This is imagination. This is you imagining anything that can come into your head. There are no limits. There are no boundaries. This is just pure imagination for you. Okay? Introducing Charlie the Unicorn. Charlie the Unicorn bowed to greet the arrival of the new fairy girl. Charlie stood up and spoke to Fair Sylvie in a very soft voice. Upon the seashore on the sunrise, I saw the heavens open up. Father Sky sent forth a golden ray of light upon a mermaid in the ocean with the rising sun. Mother Earth and the fairies spiraled their magic from the ancient forests and the ground to transform you into an enchanting mystical fairy. It is my mission to take you to fairyland. You always believed in our world. You have visited our worlds before when you were human in your dream time. You are here, fair Sylvie, to become part of our magic. Welcome to Woodland Sea Edge. There is so much to celebrate your arrival to our realm. So Charlie the Unicorn wants to ask you a question. Do you know what your life mission is? Charlie the Unicorn asks you the question. Do you know what your life mission is? And another little question the fairy has for you. Where do you imagine that you go in your dream time? Where do you imagine that you go to in your dream time? That's a really good question because none of us really know. Okay. We're nearly there. Introducing the Butterfly Lady of Music. Charlie the Unicorn and fair Sylvie sat upon the warm sunny ground to witness an enormous golden harp appear before their eyes. There appeared a beautiful butterfly lady of music with huge wings of warm, soft pink along its edges, with mellow yellow and deeper pink circles with surrounding mystical dots. Her wings were most impressive, but very delicate. The harp music filled the air with serene, beautiful, enchanting sound, unknown to fair Sylvie, as this music was rarely heard by human ears. The forest elves sat proudly, listening to the divine sound upon surrounding the tree branches. These elves were the talented, hard-working beings that created this magical, exquisite harp instrument. So you can see she's got a lot of intricate detail in these because these are all hand painted and then put in digital form, and they're all plant oils as well. Okay. So the Butterfly Lady has a beautiful question for you. This is especially one for your ears. What are your favorite words that you like to hear that describe you? I can write all these questions in the chat as well if you like. But this is a beautiful question from the beautiful Lady of Music. What are your favorite words you like to hear that describe you? And this is very important. And she's got another little question from the elves. What magic can you create today in your life? What magic can you create today in your life?
So we have 5 more minutes if you'd like to share one more, Karina.
Yeah, I think I'll do the Yeah. I'll do this one. Thank you. Because I normally have a projector for all of this, so that's why it's a little bit different. Ah, okay. This is the entrance to Father Time cave home in Coral School. The waters felt warmer as the Mer teams got closer to the Caribbean waters. They all marveled at the beautiful coral reefs on the seabed below. The mermen got together to determine where they could find Father Time's secret cave, home, and school. Mer Christina could hear faint jazz music in the distance. She placed her index finger to her lips, and she winked at the dolphins, whales, and porpoise to follow her tail. They swam into a lagoon, following Mer Christina, swimming into the most enormous cave with the deepest secret waters. Their eyes widened in amazement as they discovered all sorts of maps and scrolls and ancient books. They had found Father Time's cave. They laughed and giggled, wondering, when would the mermen find this amazing secret cave? So my final question, what has the School of Life taught you? What has the School of Life taught you? So yeah, so let's hope I can get kids and adults together in fairy and coral school and get them all writing little stories themselves and creating magic in the world. That's part of my vision anyway. So I'm just sharing with you kind of what I'm doing. And it's like, normally I'm in a setting where it's all on a screen and whatever. So
That was beautiful, Karina. I loved it.
It's quite fun, isn't it?
Very fun and very magical, very sweet and beautiful, and very deep, actually.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, a lot of fairy tales are kind of, they're really put on kind of levels of only human thinking. And I wanted fairy tales to go a lot more. I wanted them to kind of dive into areas that people don't talk about. Because they are issues that we have to talk about and we have to face. And it's easier working with healers initially because they usually get it. Because healers tend to work on several levels anyway. But when we're working with people, we have to be very patient and we have to kind of bring them in gently. So that's what storytelling does. It's like a childish but gentle way to bring people into their own awareness. That's what I've discovered with it.
Now, I would like you to choose one person for each of those questions.
Ooh,
and welcome DJ that's also joined us. Hello, DJ. How are you?
Hi, DJ.
Good to see you.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, I like that.
So if you would maybe
am I including you in that, or no, is there enough people?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I was going to put the first one to you. Sylvie cycling to Fisherman Ted's hut by the sea. What pearls of wisdom, Alexis, have you learned about yourself in your life?
That's a really good question. And I think it's to be authentic.
Okay.
Be you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not, because it doesn't work and it ends up in pain if you try to force being somebody that you're not in the world. So be you, be real as you can.
Very wise.
That would be my one, yeah.
I like that. Okay, Greta, I'm going to go on to number 2. Mer Sylvie transforms into Fair Sylvie. So what would you like to transform in your life?
I would like to transform some aspect of my health that I am healing, and what I have discovered the last few days is that I need to become more like nature.
Wow.
And, say bye-bye to big pharma and
yeah,
my body go back to how it's naturally supposed to be.
Like its rhythms.
Yeah.
Big pharma is there like as our emergency. And unfortunately, a lot of the world has become reliant on it on a day-to-day basis. And this is our call back to nature. It's not even, it is of course about saving the earth. It's actually really about saving ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. That's quite deep. Okay, Anna. So Charlie the Unicorn is asking you the question, where do you imagine you go to in your dream time? Again, you don't have to answer if it's too personal.
No. It's an interesting question. They're like, I feel two levels, you know. On one hand, I know I'm going deep into my subconscious mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that I'm having multi-dimensional experiences.
Wow.
In my dream time, and often getting messages. So I on the night maybe, or maybe it's all multi-dimensional and it could all be happening, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel that I travel to another dimension and am like sometimes taught something or given information or instructed in something. Yeah.
Like getting instructions as such.
Yeah, or being taught some sort of lesson, something to resolve something in the past or an issue.
Very
like
good.
Psychological work, you know, it's all, that's happens a lot. But I don't remember my dreams that much, unfortunately.
Well, this is what I mean, that these kind of little stories and these little questions and exercises, they're like a way of setting up your subconscious in a sense. I'm not a psychologist or anything, nothing specialist, but it kind of wires your mind. And then when you wake up in the morning, it's still there. So it's always good to have like a little book by your bed. Or when you get up first thing in the morning, to kind of have a book near when you're having your first cup of tea or coffee or whatever you take in the morning. Because then that's when your brain is kind of fresh with that still dream time there.
Yeah, I go through this, I don't know about other people, but I go through cycles where I'll remember my dreams a lot for one period of time, and I always keep something by my bed because otherwise I'll forget if I don't write it down immediately. Yeah, like immediately.
Yeah, because it's that lucid time that you're kind of coming back from that dimension or that realm and coming into this dimension here where we live. I guess I kind of live there a lot.
Good place to be.
Yeah. Okay, DJ. So Mernisa of the Indian Ocean, she's got a question for you from her third eye to yours. What hidden knowledge can you share, DJ, with the world?
Hidden knowledge?
Within yourself. It's kind of like I'm sort of probing you a little bit, if that feels comfortable for you, to kind of almost go into your third eye, which is like another eye in the center of your forehead. It's like a hidden world within you. So that is working for you all the time, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. You don't have to believe this, but I'm inviting you to have a think about that question, to either write it down privately for yourself, to answer to you, only to DJ, or if it feels comfortable, to share what comes up with the group.
That's actually a good question. I'm not really sure. My third knowledge.
Yeah, a hidden knowledge.
Hidden
that
knowledge.
You could share with the world. It is a bit cryptic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that you can keep to yourself.
Yeah.
that's the whole idea of something that is hidden. It's like it's a private kind of journey that you go on, and it'll be like a sudden insight into something in your life that'll come up. That's what we call hidden knowledge.
Okay.
Hope I haven't confused. I do tend to push the boundary a little bit with my work.
Yeah, it's pretty new. I mean, I haven't.
Yeah, it's very new. It's a new approach I have, and it's just a gentle way into your subconscious, but it's for you, and it's your world. It's how you perceive it. So just sit with it. What hidden knowledge can you share with the world? So that's the whole reason. It's a private journey, and you will know it'll come to you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, meditate on that. Go to sleep tonight. Let the angels tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So Michael, the butterfly lady of music has told me to ask you, what are your favorite words you love to hear to describe you?
Kind.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. There's a hashtag, be kind. I like that. And give me another couple more if you can.
Wise.
Lovely.
Thoughtful.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So the more that you feel those and hear those of saying those words to yourself or writing them to yourself, the more they become apparent in others around you. Everything is like a mirror. Yes. And you'll find it's kind of funny. People will be saying, God, you're so wise about that. Oh, you're so thoughtful. You know, it's kind of funny how it mirrors back.
Okay.
Try it. Just have a kind of a wink and a nod there. Just kind of, you know, have a bit of fun with this. And that's my approach as well. It's kind of much more fun-loving, much more gentle. It's probing. It can be deep, but you keep it light and more relaxed as well. That's the sort of approach. That's the approach I take. So.
Okay.
So thank you for sharing those words.
Thank you.
Thoughtful and kind. Wise, thoughtful and kind. Wise, thoughtful and kind. I like.
I've been reflecting on the previous question as well about the third
eye.
eye.
There you go. Yeah, well, that was a bit of a poor DJ. I threw him in right the deep end with a mermaid there. And is Maria there?
Yes, I'm here. I just got...
Maria, okay. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, so Mer Christina, as she was diving into the Father Time's secret cave, she wants to ask you, what has the school of life taught you?
That's a very good question.
Well, Mer Christina is pretty hot.
Well, there could be a very long answer to this one, but I think that traumatic and difficult experiences could be used in a creative way.
Yes.
And also could be used for growing, for growth, as well as just appreciating the fact that you get to experience people's, or as a holistic beings, not only being nice, but also experiencing a lot of sides that people show you, because people that get to show you even the worst sides of themselves in a difficult situation, but this is something that you can use later.
Wow.
And your work is kind of very inspiring, though. It kind of also shows that people who don't have to go through a difficult experience to be creative. So that's definitely very inspiring, your work.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for sharing and kind of being part of the sort of a little world I'm creating. And everyone has it within them. Everyone has imagination.
That was really inspiring, Karina. And if you'd allow it, I would like to put one of your questions to you.
Now I'm in the deep end. I better get my tail on.
Yeah. So the question is, what magic can you create today in your life?
Wow.
I know that you've already shared a lot of your magic today.
No. It's like, yeah, I think it's what intention I can put into my dream tonight for all of you.
That's really magical. Wow, that's incredible. Very deep. Well, before
I'm a shallow, deep mermaid. What can I say?
the dualistic element of us all. Yeah, love it. And I remember being in a cab one day with Karina many years ago, and I said to her, "I get it. You are a real mermaid. I get it." And she said, "Yes, I am. And she is. So thank you for your beautiful blessings tonight, Karina, and sharing.
Thank you for listening. That's the great thing. It's all about listening to stories. Everybody has their story.
Yes.
And that's what Sylvie is doing. She's kind of sharing her wish with the world, and then it becomes about our wish.
I love what you said about the mirror to Michael, because that's so true. I've thought that very many times, is that we are mirrors, our relationships are mirrors, and not only our relationships, but all of our encounters. The world is constantly a mirror.
Water.
Right.
Water is also that reflection. Whether you're looking into even a glass of water or looking into a body of water, everything is about reflection.
Yeah, even our thoughts. Correct. Our thoughts are mirrors, right? Yeah. So it's important that we think as best thoughts that we can. And if sometimes it's dark and murky, and we just need to swim to a different thought.
Oh, I like that. You swim to a different thought. Yeah.
Exactly. So
watch the currents. That's what I say. In some of my song lyrics, I do talk about that. Yeah.
Yes, Karina's got albums as well. What's the name of one of your albums? Share with us.
The Love Unknown and Transform Your Journey. So one is more pertaining to the ocean, and the other is they're all about relationships as well.
So if we want to know more about your work, we go to sylvieswish.com. Is that right?
and karinacohen.com.
That's karinacohen.com. Thank you so much, Karina.
Thank you for listening, everyone. You've all made me feel fantastic.
Beautiful. So before I hand over to Greta, who's going to talk also about some deep swimming things, I would like to just open the questions that Karina asked to everyone. It's a free-for-all, and just to say, if there's anything that you would like to answer or share with regards to what Karina said, then please just come forward now.
Wow.
And if not, that's also fine, because there was a lot there, and I'm sure that we can just sit with those questions, and there's stuff in all of that we can take away and percolate, if you like. Yeah. So thanks for your beautiful questions, Karina. I'm gonna go away with those and think about them. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Greta. Thanks again, Karina.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Karina. That was magical. Absolutely wonderful. So Alexis asked me to do something different today than what I usually do. And I'm guessing it's because of my background. I have a master's degree in toxicology. So I'm a biologist, and I've worked in environmental management for 10 plus years. And obviously very passionate about making the world a better place. Although now I'm focusing more on helping raise the collective vibration by helping people raise their vibration, by helping people navigate how to make the law of attraction work for you, because it's working all the time. And I just a few years ago discovered the tools that makes it work so much faster for me, and I'm just passionate about sharing that with people so that they can manifest what they want in their lives instead of having their lives being run by subconscious negative beliefs and programs, which is the default. This is how we create our lives by default. So I'm sorry, this isn't going to be as magical as Karina's segment. This is going to be more factual, but I am going to just give a little explanation as to why I choose to eat organic. What's the point of it? And I'll do my very best to keep the language understandable. And I don't know if fun is a good word, but relatable. I'm not going to overpromise here. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Just unmute yourselves and say, hey, teacher. Yeah, okay. So I'm using...
Call out Miss.
Miss, yeah, that's a good one. I actually created a video about this a while ago, so I'm using the script from that video as my manuscript. So what I'm going to explain is basically how do I choose to eat as a toxicologist, knowing how different substances affect my body from a chemical, cellular, physiological level to ecosystems. And it's funny that my answer to Karina's question was I need to be more nature, in line with nature, and not put chemicals in my body that shouldn't be there. And that goes with the food as well. So a very good reason to eat organic is that organic foods has higher nutrient density than conventionally grown food. And there are multiple reasons for that. One of them has to do with the types of fertilizers that are used when you grow crops conventionally. Because imagine all the different molecules it takes when you want to build an apple, a banana, coffee beans, or a pumpkin. That's a lot of different little molecules and different little atoms that are going in there. And when you grow things organically, the soil is cared for, it's fertilized with natural fertilizers that have all the different nutrients. The soil microbiome is cared for, it's there contributing with all that it can do. And so the soil can produce healthy, nutritious crops year after year. And some years it's even left alone because that's going to help it be even healthier. When you grow crops conventionally, you use synthetic fertilizers, and they mainly consist of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and small amounts of some other trace elements. So imagine now, just imagine, now we're getting a little playful here. Your inner child is put the task to build a complex Lego Technic toy, but you only get 4 or 5 different little Legos. So how on earth can you build a complex Lego toy if you don't have all the little specialized little Lego pieces that you need for that? And it's the same when we grow food. So these few nutrients that are in the synthetic fertilizers help the food grow fast. It looks beautiful. Like if you go to the supermarket, the conventionally grown big apples, peppers, whatever, they look gorgeous, but they taste kind of bland, and they don't actually have a lot of nutrients. So they're going to make you feel full, and you're not going to starve to death, but you're going to be undernourished if you only eat that kind of food. Does it make sense? Yeah, good. Another good reason to eat organic is that organic foods has a higher phytochemical content. And a phytochemical is a chemical compound produced by a plant. It's like the plant's immune system. So it helps the plants resist fungi, bacteria, and plant virus infections. And it also helps prevent the plant from being eaten by insects or animals. Some plants don't want to be eaten. Some plants do because that's how they spread, but some plants don't want. So they have these chemicals in them that will make the animals feel unwell. And so that's their protection. Many of these are very colorful substances that act as antioxidants, which means that they reduce the chemical stress in our bodies. And they can prevent aging, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and cancer. So the more natural a food is, the more health it's going to bring you. When you grow something organically, you will have a lot of these antioxidants because these plants need to protect themselves from all of these dangers in the environment. So they have to produce the substances to protect themselves. Whereas conventionally grown crops don't produce as much antioxidants because they're sprayed with pesticides, the chemical protection, and therefore they can be lazy and not produce all these amazing substances. But they will have traces of these pesticides on them that aren't good for us. And I'm gonna explain a little bit about why. So organically grown crops, organic food doesn't have harmful toxins. Pesticides are biocides capable of killing all forms of life. They're used massively and indiscriminately in crop protection, food preservations, insect and pest control. And this use has led to acute and chronic poisoning incidents in humans, domestic animals, and wildlife, and has resulted in widespread ecological adverse effects. So there are different kinds: herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, and rodenticides, and glyphosate. And the purpose is to protect the crops from other organisms so that the farmer gets higher yields. But I don't know if you've seen pictures or film of when farmers spray their crops, they have to wear protective equipment. And many of them get different illnesses and die early because of this pesticide use. I'm going to give you an example of how a pesticide works. So some insecticides work by harming the nervous systems of the insects. And this is awesome because it kills the insects so they don't eat the crops. But the problem is that bees are insects. And people are wondering why the bees are dying. Well, they're eating poison that humans have sprayed on crops, and probably it's blowing in the wind. So if the bee isn't among the crops, it's still probably going to get it. And the thing is, an insect's nerve cell looks pretty much identical to your nerve cells. Like when you put the nerve cells of an insect and a human in a microscope and you look at them, they look exactly the same. So it makes sense then that if you eat a lot of conventionally grown food that's been sprayed heavily with these toxins, it's going to harm your nervous system. So if you can't eat organic all the time, there are these two lists that are updated every year, and one is called the Dirty Dozen, which is the ones you avoid, And then there's the clean 15, which are the ones that usually have less. So those can be helpful. Something that I am very mindful of is my coffee and tea. I always get organic. And the reason for that is that coffee is you grind the coffee so that the surface area of the coffee is bigger so that the water comes in contact with the coffee. And then you take really hot water and you put your coffee in the hot water to extract the flavors and all of that. And the thing is, chemical reactions are faster in warmer temperatures. So not only do you extract the coffee flavors and all the goodness, but also all the pesticides. So coffee and tea that you extract in hot water, very important that those are, because otherwise it's going to be like a cup of pesticides. You don't want that. So coffee and tea, I think, is really important to do organic. Did you have a question, Anna, or did you just stretch? Stretching? Okay, cool. Another thing is GMO. So GMO itself isn't necessarily a big problem. I mean, I'm not going to say go eat GMO, but the problem with GMO is it's genetically modified organisms that are genetically modified in many cases in a way that they can withstand glyphosate. So what glyphosate normally does is it kills every plant. So if you have a field of crops and you have some weeds that you don't want there, you can genetically modify your crops so that when you spray glyphosate, the crops don't die, but the weeds will die, which is the perfect purpose of glyphosate. So you modify your plants so that they can tolerate this glyphosate. The problem then is that they're heavily sprayed with glyphosate, Roundup, which is terrible. The other thing is that most people don't know this, but farmers will oftentimes spray their crops with glyphosate just before harvest because it softens the plants, and that makes the wear and tear on their equipment less. But it also makes the glyphosate content in our bread so much higher. So I firmly believe that you might not have a problem with wheat, but you might definitely have a problem with glyphosate, which is why you get a bloated tummy and then you eat gluten-free and it's better. So that's a huge problem with the GMO versus non-GMO. Another thing that I like to do is, as much as I can, eat local, because I don't know how this works, but they always say that when you transport the food, it gets less nutritious. Now, I don't know how the nutrients disappear, but okay, I'm going to go with it. The other thing is obvious, transport isn't going to do any good for anything. So eating local, and if you can talk to the farmer that grew the food, how amazing isn't that? And plus, when you go to farmers markets and you find all these weird vegetables that you've never seen before, because when you go to the grocery store, everything has to fit a certain standard. If the carrots are bigger than this or smaller than this, you're not going to find them. If they're crooked, and then you go to the farmers market and you just find things that are just, it just makes me happy. It's just such a joy. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to mention too is to avoid preservatives. So preservatives are amazing. They prolong shelf life of food, preventing it from decomposing, so we can all hoard and have food last for a long time. But the way it does is by killing the bacteria that would normally cause the food to decompose. And the problem is that most of the food you eat is digested by the bacteria in your gut. So if you eat food that has bacteria killing compounds in it, you're not going to be able to extract the nutrients and digest it. And you might actually kill some of the bacteria in your gut that you want to be there. So again, we are nature. We are, most of the cells in our body are bacteria. And so eating that will kill you slowly but surely. Yeah. Let's see. And examples of that is like cut meat, bacon, things like that. If you go to a butcher, you can probably get good, you know, ham and bacon and all of that that doesn't have this. I bought this once because my mother-in-law was coming to visit and she loves her ham in the morning. I was like, I can't buy you that shit because it has all the preservatives. But then I found this butcher who I actually could buy from, and it was so much better than the things at the store. Another thing is overly processed foods. So I think it's so weird. They strip away all the nutrients, all the goodness from the food, and then they add some vitamins. Oh, this is vitamin E. Well, it had that also before you took everything away and destroyed it and added it in. But yeah, these foods are not what our bodies are used to, and they're just devoid of nutrients. Actually, like with processed white sugar, what happens when you eat sugar is that your body has to digest the sugar, it has to take nutrients from something else to actually digest the sugar. So you're not doing your body any favors with white sugar. But there are so many good options like coconut sugar and dates and all of that kind of goodness that you can use. I'm almost done. I have a couple of points left. So keep it simple. Avoid products with more than 5 things on the ingredient list, or products that contain ingredients you can't pronounce unless they're like exotic from a different country. And if your grandmother wouldn't recognize or have access to this food, maybe you shouldn't eat it. I mean, you can make an exception every once in a while. It can be fun, but don't do that every day. And then there's all the diet craze, low fat, no sugar, blah, 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 all of that. No. Good fat is essential, and it's not your enemy. Your nerve cells are wrapped in fat. Your brain is a big lump of fat. Your cells are encased in a membrane that's made up of a lot of fat. So you need, and it's not like when you're an adult, your body stops growing. Every day, cells are dying, new cells have to be made. So if you don't feed your body the building blocks of cells, you're going to get sick and die much faster than you would if you fed your body the good building blocks. So for fat, it's funny because depending on the source, they always recommend different things, but the 2 things that are consistent is coconut oil for cooking, higher temperatures, and extra virgin olive oil for anything, but not cooking at high temperatures. So those should be good bets. And like if you're not vegan, butter is pretty good as well. Ghee. Okay. And then the no sugar stuff and the diet things. If the volume is the same, something else is added in there. In the low fat stuff, it's often sugar. And in the low sugar or artificial sweeteners. And aspartame is rat poison. So like, I remember looking at this sports electrolyte thing that I was considering. I had in my house, bought it for cheap for somewhere. And then I actually took up my toxicology book and I started reading about it. And it says it causes cancer. And I was like, well, it's only a little bit. And then I was like, do I want a little bit of cancer? So I threw it away. And now I only buy the good stuff. I'd rather have white sugar than any artificial sweetener. So eat the real stuff and just limit it. I mean, don't eat like a whole block of butter, but if you want fat, eat the good fats and just make sure that you eat the proper amounts instead of, and the other thing is the artificial stuff, it leaves you unsatisfied, so you're craving more. Plus you get headaches and all sorts of problems. I don't know if you've seen Forks Over Knives, the documentary, but I love how he summarizes it, which is he says, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. And I think that's a really good rule to live by, because by food, he means real food, actual food, whole foods, not too much. Yeah, not too much means, you know, eat a proper amount of food and mostly plants. And I like them mostly because I like, for me, not being too rigid. So every once in a while, I can have a little bit of meat. Every once in a while, I have some fish, except I never have farmed fish. Because like farmed salmon, for instance, they've been feeding us this story of omega-3 and so good for you and blah, blah, blah. First of all, it's an ecological disaster. If you look under a fish farm, the whole bottom of the sea is dead. The fish run away and interfere with the natural population of wild salmon. And there's so much omega-6 in the salmon that which is the fat we don't want, that we already are eating way too much of. So there are actually no good reasons to eat farmed salmon or farmed tilapia. I saw a documentary about that. These dirty rivers in Asia where they farm this tilapia and how they process it. And the salmon eats soy, which is grown in Brazil. So what these big companies do is they need to grow more soil. They cut down the rainforest and they get help by the president. Oh, but there's a farm in the way. We want this big area. There's a farm in the way. They shoot the farmer, take his land, and they make these big farms. So when I know all of these things, there is no way that I can have a piece of farmed salmon. Like somebody died for it. It's not worth it to me. And it's not going to be good for me. So I tell people, I'm not going to tell you not to eat salmon because a lot of people love their salmon. But I'll tell them, don't look at it as your health food. This is your play food or junk food, just so you know. Don't think it's like a part of your healthy diet. So yeah, that's my, do you guys have any questions? Karina, you're muted.
What was the name of that documentary that you said that something about Asia and fish farms?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Don't worry. Yeah.
You mentioned Forks Over Knives.
Yeah, I got that one.
Oh, yeah.
But this was another one. You were talking about the fish farming. I was very interested in that.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, actually. And then you watch Seaspiracy and you're like, well, I can't have wild fish either, apparently. So you end up with, can you actually have fish? I don't know. It's a
very tricky one. It's mainly the industrialization.
Yeah.
It's because even if you just go out fishing yourself, it makes so much common sense. Economy is set up upon destruction.
Yeah.
When there actually needs to be a circular economy. But there is a change in the language, though. There is a change in the language coming.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's very much about business and the way things are set up on a mass scale. That's why we're in the situation we're in. It's been allowed to go out of control.
Yeah, I agree. So the first question we got today was, what do I do every day? Well, one of the things is, as much as I can, I put my money where my mouth is. So every time you spend money, you vote for the future, which is why I never give my money to fish farmers.
Thank you, Greta. That was really very, very insightful and, you know, very on point with this special sort of eco-awareness edition of Sacred Segments. I would like to, before we close a little bit earlier than usual, I would like to just go around the group and just slightly off topic, but just picking up on something that was spoken about earlier about getting back to nature that you said, Greta, and being nature. if we think about it, the medicines of the earth are there in the plants. And the companies, all they've done is synthesize a different version of what was already in nature. I truly believe that nature has the answers for us, but that there's so much that's hidden that we don't know yet, waiting to be revealed, right? But what I meant by going off topic for a moment is I would just like to go around the group before we close and just spend a minute or two just asking about something that you are dealing with right now, whatever it may be, if you would like to share. And I would like to offer an affirmation or new thought to work with what it is that you're going through. So, Karina, do you have anything that you would like to share?
I think what Greta has really helped me is kind of my awareness of my sugar intake. And kind of, so that's definitely something that I can decrease or aim to cut out. So that's definitely a bit of a challenge, and I've got a bit of a sweet tooth.
Yeah, me too. And I'm having more maple instead of sugar, and it is more expensive, but it's natural, right? Organic maple syrup or coconut sugar, which you could perhaps substitute. But the affirmation that I would offer you is that
like caramels. Okay. Thank you.
I look for the sweetness in life.
Oh, I like that. I'll write that down.
And just knowing that there is sweetness in life to be had, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I want to take that affirmation and live that too. I'm saying it for all of us.
I do take honey. So, but yeah, it's
right.
Just sometimes reaching for that chocolate bar or whatever. There's just so many kind of subconscious things.
Well, Greta did a natural chocolate making recently. I don't know if you have that recorded that you could send to.
I have, but I'm not allowed to share it because one of the.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
I did send you, Karina, and all of you, the Smarter Sweets thing. It has recipes using natural sweeteners to make.
Oh, I see that there. Yeah.
Oh, so we could download that.
Good sweets, and it also has advice on how to change to better sweets. So even just throwing out your white sugar and replacing it with coconut sugar. And
thank you for that.
There's chocolate that's raw, organic, and made with coconut sugar. And it's honestly, that's like a vegetable.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why you should have to reach for that nasty chocolate when there is a healthy option. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it.
And fruit, thank God, you know, fruit and vegetables have sugar in, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good to stock up, you know, when you come across these natural, you know, naturally sweetened chocolates. Get a few for your treats, you know, wherever you can, and then when you want it, then you've got the good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
really like that, though. I look for the sweetness in life. I really like that.
Me too. Greta, do you have anything that you'd like to share that you talk about?
Yeah, I can share my little natural journey. So I've been struggling for years and years and years with finding birth control that works for my body.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor gives you all of these smart things, whether it's a pill or a shot or a little thing you put up in your uterus or whatever it is. And they always cause some kind of problem. And the latest one was one called Depo-Provera, which is a shot, which I've been on earlier for 10 years. It's awesome because it you don't have periods and you just don't even notice that aspect of being a woman. But now, this time around, I just started on it a year ago, and I gained weight, which is one of the side effects. That made me feel not sexy.
Right.
And so you take something in order to make your sex life easier.
Yeah.
That's the object of the whole thing. And then the side effects are you gain weight. One of the other side effects when you read up on it is that they make you want sex less. And then there's a whole bunch of other things, among others is headaches. And so I went to the doctor to have my hormones checked, and then I had a follow-up consultation, and she offers me all of these other ones. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit the whole damn thing. So there are natural, but it's like a long-term project involving irregular menstruation, which means you can't really plan everything the way you want, like I like planning. And so it's been, going from convenient, but if the whole purpose is, hey, I want my sex life to be easy and good, and then you have all these side effects that kind of just leaves you not wanting it, then what's the point? So, and the thing is, nobody really talks about it. Nobody shares these things. So it's way too personal to share, but I did it anyway because maybe it can help someone.
No, you're safe with us, Greta, and we're holding you in love as you talk. And what I was feeling for you was that to listen to the natural wisdom of your body and to honor it,
Yeah.
and that was the thought I just wanted to offer you, is that I honor and listen to the natural wisdom of my body, because you and your body knows what it wants better than anyone.
And I'm going to do some energy work on myself as well, because I realized that there's negative emotions around, why can't the boys be on birth control?
Right.
Why does it have to be my job to mess with my body this way? I've been on birth control since I was 16 and I'm now 38. Like, it's time to just let my body get that out of the system. And then I also really need to release this emotions.
Another thought that I want to offer you is that there is a solution for every problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fear is I give it up. I don't take it anymore, and nothing changes.
Right. Well, let's also remember that when we fear something, that we attract it. So there's a charge there in the fear that there's something to work with in that fear, and it's like I see it like a pinball machine. Like you're the flippers, right? And the pinball's like going all over the machine. And it's like you need to use the flippers in the right way.
Mm.
And work with the fear. The fear is just this mass of energy that's kind of like floating around, that's passing your consciousness, but it's almost like harnessing the fear and looking at it and being separate from it without attaching to the embodiment of the fear, right? And it's great that you're going to do the energy work. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say any strong emotion has attraction power, whether it's positive or negative. So obviously me thinking about this and having that fear is not going to serve me.
No, and you've just discharged it by talking about it as well. You released it, right? So it doesn't have as much power over you that it did. So I applaud you having the bravery and the courage to talk about it.
Thank you.
That was really brave. Thank you for sharing. And there is an answer. There's a solution. Trust yourself and your inner wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greta. Michael, is there something you would like to share?
Well, I suppose for me, it's something to do with transitioning and my age. I will be 65 in July, and I've been subconsciously thinking that I'm sort of not useful to the world anymore, that you're coming to the end of your life. I've had an illness, I've had prostate cancer. I've recovered from that. And the images that you see all the time are of youth, healthiness, success, everything else. And I've always been admiring of people or tribes, people that respect their elders and actually see the people who are older as a resource to learn from, as opposed to a resource to discard. And maybe, am I explaining myself? You know, I sometimes feel that I'm moving into this era of being discarded, and I'm fighting it. And maybe that's why I did my master's degree, and why I've done this work for the university, and why I've become a forest therapy guide, and doing all these things that I feel are going to sustain me in the rest of my life and be of use. But it's still there subconsciously that it's not going to work. Does that make any sense at all?
Yes. And what I'm hearing for you is this. I love myself and the perfection of where I am. And what I mean by that statement is that all of your experiences and where you are in your age is perfect exactly as you are, and that these thoughts or these ideas are not yours. You've listened to them because they are kind of like in the ethers of the consciousness of Earth as fear thoughts, but they're not real. And where you are is absolutely perfect. And where you sit and where you are in your body is perfect. And that you are the embodiment of sexual energy because you exist, because you are life force, and that you are enough as you are in your perfection right now. You are enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Know it, feel it, be it, and embody it, because it's the truth of who you are.
Thank you.
Because that life force is you right now.
I just wish, yes, I wish Western democracies, Western civilizations would learn from the more ancient communities, Aboriginal, Inuit, whatever, where people who are older are respected, and that you learn from them, as opposed to the other way.
When you have those thoughts of feeling old or not enough, just recognize them as kind of societal thoughts that are passing clouds, without attaching yourself to those ideas as who you are. Because it's just a thought.
Yes, it is.
And you're more than that thought.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anna, do you have something that you would like to share?
Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for sharing what you did. All of it resonated with me in a way. The challenge that I've been having since I moved to Valencia in October, the climate here it's really affected my tendency towards arthritis, and and more than that, well, in addition to that, I've developed like really bad sciatic pain. I'm suffering with really painful sciatica in my right leg. I just really figured out that's what it is. And like to the point where I'm starting to limp when I walk, or I avoid walking now because it hurts so much. And this isn't me. I'm not a sedentary person. I'm from New York. We walk. Like my friends will all say that, you know, they know me as a walker, and somebody will walk like across the city and for hours and hours and hours. That's me. You know, I'm not like the person to sit around. And I'm like, and so it's like I'm not getting the exercise that I need, and I feel like it's keeping me it's what's the right word, it's just keeping me from moving forward. And I know there's an emotional and spiritual aspect to this, of course. So that's what I'm dealing with at the moment.
I really resonate with what you've been saying, because I too have had like a lot of physical pain during the course of lockdown, and I also put on a lot of weight during lockdown, and my body hurt, particularly when I walked and walk. And I think it was today I went to meet a friend, and I was walking around, and I haven't done that in a really, really long time. And I thought to myself, wow, it's all in my head. This idea that I cannot walk without pain is a thought that I have held onto, and it's not real. If I'm here now, I can walk with ease, and I can walk with grace, and I can be okay if I have that thought. And I'm suggesting to you that the sciatica is a result of an acidic thought that you have allowed yourself to think repeatedly. And you can replace the acidic thought with an alkaline thought, which is going to neutralize the acidic thought. And that is that you walk with ease and grace in a pain-free way. I'm pain-free, but not to focus on the pain, but that I walk with ease and grace.
Which is the way I've always walked.
Exactly. Exactly. Like you say, you're a New Yorker and you walk with ease and grace. And find a word that resonates with you that is the opposite to pain. I'm thinking ease, right? But in that moment today, when I was walking around, I realized that I can choose in that moment the quality of my movement and the quality of my thought and the energy that I imbue it with. And I'm suggesting that you employ that when you're experiencing discomfort, go through it to the point of going into grace and ease, and that it will pass. Like with Michael, the passing cloud. And it does pass. And I walk with ease and grace. That's the thought that I offer you.
Okay.
And neutralize the acidic thought with an alkaline one, which is more comfortable, it's more gracious, it's more comfortable.
I like comfort.
Yeah. So that's the thought that I offer you. And the more that you move, the more fluid that you will get.
Sure.
Yeah. And the sciatica will literally iron out.
Yeah, I tried dancing.
Nice.
You know, yeah, because I mean, I could, you know, even if I'm not walking, because it's like the right knee, around the right knee and everything, I could still shake my booty, you know.
I love that. Love that. And you know, like shaking and dancing, it
Oh
really does
yeah.
release
Oh
energy,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like we just get it out of our
Mhm.
systems,
Mhm.
right? And we think that we can't, or that, you know, we feel foolish sometimes, that we'll be judged. No, it's just a thought. I love the courage and the bravery that everybody's shown this evening. I'm very humbled by it, and I'm very grateful to all of you for sharing. Shall we close on something to be grateful for? And I'll start. I'll say I'm grateful for communication. That's what I'm grateful for right now. And sharing. Karina?
I'm grateful for being heard and being listened to tonight. This is one of the first times I've ever done something like this. So I am so grateful for given the opportunity to share my magic. Thank you, Alexis, and everyone for listening.
Thank you so much. That's lovely. Greta?
Can I share a little story?
Please.
So I experienced the most amazing law of attraction story this week. A few weeks ago, I was thinking, how can I help my clients find me? And I was thinking, what if I went on like a local TV show here in Jacksonville? That would be cool. And I only thought it to myself. I didn't say it to anyone. And this Monday morning in my LinkedIn inbox was an email from a Jacksonville TV station inviting me on their show to talk about what I do.
Wow. You're manifesting with ease and grace.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm grateful for manifesting with ease.
That's incredible. Wow. And that just goes to show, isn't it? When we don't try and we just allow, then magic happens, right? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you, Greta. Anna?
I'm grateful for community and for magic.
Oh.
White magic. The magic within me and the magic that is all around us and untapped a lot of the times, right? I'm just grateful to have magic.
I love that.
To live magically.
Did you say I live magically?
And yeah, I'm grateful to live magically. I live a magical life.
So beautiful. I had an image of a flower, like a flower unfolding. You said that. It's really lovely. I want to just ask you, in the top left corner, can you see an orb, a big orb of light?
Where?
It's in the, it's right next to you.
Oh.
Can you see that? I've been seeing it all evening.
Oh, hello.
Very interesting. There's a big
magic. It's moving down.
Oh, wow. There's a magical orb with you, speaking of magic. Very interesting.
It's one of my guys, you know.
And there's one above your head as well.
Oh.
and a third one to the right of the screen. There's quite a few with you.
Now they're just messing with us.
Yeah, well, the magic is real.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Michael.
I tell you what I'm grateful for at this moment, thinking about it. I'm grateful for the fox that clearly is living. I came home from my tennis this afternoon, and in the field to the side of the house, right in the middle of the field was the fox. And he just stood there. I got out of the car and we looked at each other for a good 5 minutes. He didn't move and I didn't move. And then he just strolled off. And would you believe that during Karina's lovely stories, wonderful stories, the fox, I'm actually in my living room and I'm staring out of my patio doors to the back of the garden. He walked right across the window and looked in during that time. And Ben, who is right next to me now, went bonkers. He doesn't bark, but he saw him. So I'm grateful for the fox and nature and sentient beings.
I adore that. I adore foxes. They're so magical. And I'm a true believer in when animals appear, that they hold a sacred message, as in the shamanic tradition. And I've looked up for the fox spirit totem and what it symbolizes. And it says, when fox trots in as your spirit animal, it's time to tap into your own psychic senses. Fox, as a totem animal, belongs to those who understand wisdom can be found in humor. Invoke fox as your power animal when you need help to avoid confrontation.
Wow.
I love the fox. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful story. And thank you everyone for your magic and for your presence this evening. It's been absolutely beautiful. I'm very, very grateful for all of you. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, I hope. Thank you, everybody. And have a lovely evening. Lots of love. Big hugs.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Bye.